Hey everyone, Dan here. Welcome to another video. Today, what I want to talk about is how to paint looser. And I've been going through trying to create a course on how to paint looser. A lot of people are very, very interested in that. And in doing so, I realized there's like 18 different ways to paint loose that I've discovered. Actually, a lot more than that, but I kind of narrowed it down to 18, and I'm still trying to whittle it down to like 12 or 15 manageable different ways to paint loose paintings. And really, when you look at people from Sorolla to Sorolla, Sargent, Zorn, those type of long brushstroke painters to painters that paint more wispy, and then painters that just kind of lay down almost a feeling of crude pieces of paint that give it a super nice, beautiful, loose look, like Antonio Mancini's paintings. It's really a big spectrum on how to paint loose. So I'm trying to, study a bunch of different ways and see how other people have done it. And I've been doing studies, little paintings like this one here, little quick things where I try to try a couple different techniques in it. And you can see here I try to keep a more of an abstract background and apply some paint here with palette knives and some wispy paint as well. So I'm, trying all sorts of stuff, having fun as I develop this course. So I want to talk today a little bit about the materials I use and how I get some of these different kinds of looks in paintings as just kind of a, what do I want to say, like a preview or a precursor as to what maybe I'm kind of working on. And when I realized when you're trying to really teach on someone on how to paint looser, really what you need to do is talk about paint application, because that's really what it is, how you apply the paint. And looser is it's kind of a relative term, right? So in order to really understand it, you really have to understand paint application as a whole. So let's get to it before you get too bored. And this is a painting I'm currently working on. I'm going to demonstrate some stuff in this area on how to get some looser looking paint strokes using some different techniques. And for those of you who are keeping track, this is the cottage. I finally moved into the cottage just recently. I was painting in a studio in what I call the addition. I made a video sometime about that, but I was too distracted by what was going on with the rest of the house. So now I'm moving in here so I get back to work. So anyway, let's get through and let's look at some paintings here. And first thing I want to talk about is when you are doing loose paintings, sometimes there is more to it than just getting the loose look or the brush strokey look, like you see here, these wispy looking brush strokes. What I did here in this part is I wanted to show you that I created a light bridge with these loose brush strokes. So that's kind of a fun little thing to do as well. And if people don't know what a light bridge or escape is, just go and check my YouTube channel for light bridge, and then you'll find it. Here is, and this here too, this is where you pull out the paint into the background, and here's more where you merge paintings together in order to create bridging. And I did those things with this brush called, I don't know if they're called Hake brushes, Hake, or how you would say that. And it's kind of funny. I've never really used these brushes until just a few months ago, when I started doing more research about looser paintings. And they're kind of weird little brushes, and they're made out of goat hair. At least the one I used is, but they're kind of fun. And you can see here, you just drag across it, and that's how you get that look right there, where it all kind of gets bridged together and gives you that particular look. So that is kind of a fun thing to do, and I'll talk a lot more about that brush in a minute. The next thing I want to do is talk about the another brush, and it is what I call a background brush. And I've always used this brush as a background brush for creating different effects in backgrounds, like abstract. You saw that abstract stuff I did in that first painting. That was all done with one of these background brushes. But also effects like this here, and when you sometimes what you'll want to do is drag some of the background into the shadow side of your painting. Now, the reason you want to do that is because one, it will soften this edge as it turns around, goes around the edge. And the second thing is you will literally pick up some of the background color on your brush and drag it into this part of the object that you're painting. And by doing that, what happens is that color gets deposited in with this other color. In this case, it's the red onion, and it will make it go around. It'll make it go around more. And that's kind of a cool thing to do. And if you look at this here, some of these other effects, this is done here, and this particularly this stroke is done with a bristle brush, where you start with one end and it's fairly crisp, and then you pull and drag it into the other, and it gives you that kind of a look. Whereas a lot of the rest of this is done more either with that goat brush or Langnickel type brushes, which is a mongoose hair brush. But a lot of it's bristle brush. In fact, I do most of my paintings. Most of my painting is done with bristle brushes. But in order to get that one look, what you just do is you just take this here, get your background, and just drag it into it. And then that's how you get it to just drag it right across there, and that'll merge these all together. So it's kind of a fun way to do it and to give you another way to get a different type of a loose edge. So here we're going to talk about this area here. And if you look at this, I always talk about multiplicity of color, and that's a nice thing to have in your paintings. One, but two, also to have what we'd call a multiplicity of layering. And you see this a lot in Richard Schmid's work, and Clyde Asovig's work, and a lot of other really great artists too, you know. But I'm going to show you some of the ways that you can do that as well. So we're going to take this little area here, and I'm going to put a little bit of a thick piece of paint in there. So I mixed it here, and I'm going to put it on the edge of my palette knife, and you can see I have it right here on the edge of the knife. And then I am going to come in and lay it right there, and you can see it real nice and thick right there, you know, and you can see the thinner layers down below. It's instantly you see a difference in the paint quality. And then I'm going to take that brush, and I'm just going to drag it right across the top of that and kind of smear it out. Now, of course, it's kind of blurry, so let's see a close-up of that. And you can see here is the one ridge. That's what it started like. And here you can see how it's been dragged out. But at the same time, do you notice it still feels like it's sitting on top of this layer where it's a little bit thin? But it's not as ridgy as, say, like this piece of paint was when I put it on with the palette knife. So that's kind of a really fun, kind of cool effect you can get to make the painting look a little bit looser, because none of this really looks like grass. It just looks like a bunch of mess, right? But when you stand back and you look at the different layers, you get that feel. And here we're going to see, we're going to go ahead and I softened up the other one, and you can see how that looks too. This picture is a little blurry, but you can get these beautiful looks and the nice softness. And then you leave some parts where the paint is thicker on top, and you really get that nice feel from that brush. Okay, here's another thing that you do with this brush. I'm going to create more of an abstract feel with the grasses, and like Richard Schmid and Clyde Aspervig and a bunch of other artists do this technique here, and this is a great brush for it. A lot of times too, the old Langnickels, the mongoose hair ones worked good for this, but you can't get those anymore. So this is a really nice, inexpensive substitute for that. So I'm going to push into the paint to get it right on the tip of the brush. Do you see that? How it's nice and thick there, and we've got these little chunks everywhere. And then all you need to do is just drag it to decide where it's going to go. It's going to go right here. And just going to drag it into the painting. And then you can just see here where I have dragged it, and it kind of, and I made two, maybe three brush strokes, and you can just see how it has this kind of weird abstract shape that you almost can't predict where it is sitting on top now with these ridges of paint from that the way I picked it up when I pushed into the pile. And that is another way that you get these kind of abstract looks. And then when you get this layering effect, you really get that feeling of looseness as well as grass too. Anyway, that's it. And I think that is what I wanted to communicate, is how you can get those cool effects with these brushes. And you can get these brushes in a lot of different places. And what I'm doing is I'm going to give away a set of, like you see right here, two bristle brushes that I use, and this pony haired background brush, and then one of these goat hair brushes. If you guys are interested in one of my courses, I've got 5 different courses you can choose from. Unfortunately, that how to paint loose course will not be out till probably summer or fall, and when that is out, then you'd have the right tools for it. So if you do that, if you want that, go to my website, danieledmondsonstudio.com, and check out the classes. And if you see one you like, get it. And then put a code in that says brushes 2020, and that will be, that lets us know that you want the brushes with your order. That doesn't show up in your cart, and the brushes won't show up in your cart, but we'll know because we'll get that code, and then we'll get you the brushes. As long as I can get them. I bought 20 sets of them, so if I should have enough to last at least 4 days if I know how these promotions normally go. But I will put in the description of the video when I'm out of the brushes. So if it doesn't say I'm out of the brushes, then I still have them and you can get them. All right? Anyway, that is it. Thanks, guys, for spending time with me. And I hope you got something out of the video, and go play around trying to get some of those effects in your painting. All right? You take care.